Apps are primarily distributed through app stores. iOS has only the Apple App Store, whereas Android has a range of other stores from the Google Store, Amazon Store, and others. Submitting an app to a store requires more information than is used when we're just debugging and testing our app locally. The App Store will require certain aspects of the app to be completed. So it will need to be digitally signed, has a proper and well-formatted app ID, has an app name, a range of icons, and splash screens. If you want to release your app in a store, you will have to digitally sign your application file. Signing of an application identifies the author of an application and ensures that no modifications have been made to the code since it was signed. Application signing bridges the trust the store has with the developer and the developer has with the application. Should the app misbehave, the developer can be held accountable. iOS and Android use different procedures to sign an application. It is important to follow the steps required for the signing and provisioning process, and do not lose your certificates, as without these you will not be able to update and distribute your application in the future. When an app is uploaded to a store, it needs a unique ID. The ID is a string and is usually formatted as a reverse domain name notation. The default app ID that is created for an Ionic application is the io.ionic.starter. App IDs must be unique. No other app on the store can have the same name. App IDs can also be used for other functionality, such as deep linking. The app ID is set in the Cordova config.xml file that you'll find in the root level of your application. The name of the app is changed in this config.xml file. Note that changing the app name requires removing the iOS platform and re-adding it. So if you do get this error of an unhandled promise, so a Cordova error that the product name has changed, then it gives you the information to do is we need to save the current plugin information, then remove iOS, and then re-add iOS. The app name is also defined in the ionic.config.json file, also found in the root level of your application. This file is used by the Ionic CLI as a global configuration file. Some of the properties for this configuration file are: it has a name, which is a human readable name of the application. There's integrations, so it's a configuration object for integrations such as Cordova or Capacitor. Capacitor is similar to Cordova. The type field, the CLI uses this to determine which commands and command options are available for this framework. We could be using another framework of React or Vue. And Ionic provides some information for provisioning based on the Ionic version 3 at the ionicframework.com/docs/v3/intro/deploying. So go to that address to find out more information about provisioning for an Ionic application. The resources directory contains platform-specific resources such as splash screens and icons. Let's look at these in more detail. There are several places where an app icon is used. So we've got a large icon for the app stores, the icon on a home screen, small icons, so when the app appears as part of a list, for example in your settings. Different screen sizes and resolutions will use different icon sizes. The icon should be a square image. iOS will automatically round off the corners and add a small stroke to the icons in order to have a consistency of design and allow icons to work on a white background. Check out the Apple Human Interface Guidelines for more information on the requirements for icons used on their platform. With improvements in screen technology, we now have a range of devices with varying screen pixel density. Apple requires different icon sizes in pixels to display phones with different display density. This way, each display can have an icon optimized to its abilities and keep the actual size of the icon on screen at a consistent size. In addition to different display density, iPad requires larger icons than iPhones. The largest icon for the iOS App Store is a 1024 by 1024 icon. Settings and notifications have other icon sizes. So in summary, for iOS, you have to create a range of icons at different sizes to meet all of the needs of the application. The Android operating system runs on multiple hardware platforms from multiple brands. Each brand may want to provide their own theme. Some brands may have square icons or circular icons or rounded off icons. In Android 8 and later, Android supports splitting the icon into two layers, a foreground and a background. The foreground layer is transparent, while the background layer is clipped to the shape the theme uses for the launcher. This allows you to create an inner icon that sits on an outer background that may be clipped by the operating system to follow the design theme of that operating system. In Android 7.1, an icon size was 48 by 48 pixels. In Android 8, icon size must now be 108 by 108 pixels. The inner 72 by 72 pixels must be within the mask of the viewport. Ionic can simplify the process of specifying the app icon for multiple platforms. We can provide one icon file and it will automatically generate all of the other icon files. The icon file is located in the resources directory. The file size needs to be 1024 by 1024, the size of the largest icon requirement for the Apple App Store. All other sizes will be generated from this file. As we have said, Ionic can generate the icon files for both platforms and multiple sizes automatically. It places them in the Android and iOS subdirectories. However, you can replace them individually if you want different icons for different platform sizes. If you replace icon.png in the resources directory, the Android and iOS icons won't be automatically updated. To generate the Android and iOS icons, you will need to run the Ionic Cordova resources command. Note that your icon at 1024 by 1024 may not look good once scaled down, so think about the complexity of your icon and simplify if possible. iOS developed the concept of the splash screen for mobile applications. The original intention of the splash screen was to provide an appearance of fast app launch. The operating system would display the splash screen while the rest of the app was loading. This is less of an issue now that phones are much faster. Android never had a concept of a splash screen, although recently it is possible with the launch screen. Ionic provides splash screen functionality for both Android and iOS. Similar to icons, platforms require different sized splash screens. An app may also choose to have different splash screens for whether the phone or tablet is in either landscape or portrait orientation. Like the icon, you can create a single splash.png in the resources directory, and all of the splash screen sizes will be generated for you. The splash.png file needs to be a minimum of 2732 by 2732 pixels. Note that you will need to run the following Ionic command to generate your splash screens. So run the Ionic space Cordova space resources.